Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I got one for you here. I'm already laughing. This is absolutely ridiculous. So when you see a scammer that is on the top of their game, you have to stop and acknowledge that and be like, that was actually really well done. Golf clap for you. And we've got one of those going on now. And it's actually a whole country, which is super impressive. So if we come over here to Pakistan today, which we'll get into here in a second. Let me bring up Pakistan today. Climate reparations is where we're headed with this. So this Fox News article really kicked it off for me. UN negotiators agree to pay climate reparations to poor nations. So I went looking around to dig into that and see what that means. So Pakistan, this is a great propaganda article, man. This is well written. Whoever did this, golf clap to you too. So recent floods in Pakistan have caused damage and destruction beyond the country's rehabilitative capacity. The numbers paint a gut-wrenching story. 33 million people affected, 1,500 lives lost, 727,000 cattle dead, 2 million acres of agricultural land rendered useless, 1.7 million homes, 150 bridges, 3,500 kilometers of roads destroyed. You'd think that Noah built an ark for this flood. Like, this is absolutely epic, the scale that they are describing here. Sure. So this article goes on to say the total damage for this thing was $19.5 billion is what they estimated at. It continues to go on and say that climate change is a direct result of the developed countries, specifically calling out the U.S. Take the U.S., historically the most polluting country in the world. Since 1950, it has produced 27% of the total carbon dioxide emissions in the world, more than twice as much as the second country on the list. It does go on to highlight that recently China has surpassed the U.S., but we all know that China's not giving a dime to these clowns. So it goes on to highlight how former President Obama pledged money, but he never delivered any of it. Complains about the EPA and how they were supposed to take charge, and now the Supreme Court said the EPA has less powers. It goes on and it runs down into this whole other area where it continues to blame the U.S. I mean, it's just piling on the U.S. Over lending by the U.S. as a way to secure political alliance during the Cold War years and the war on terror and beyond has played a huge role. In addition, tight money policy by the U.S. since the 1980s has increased loan interest rates and debt burdens. Now, they go out of their way to dismiss what I suspect is probably the real problem for these economic crises that they have going on, which is the excessive borrowing and corruption. We just dismiss that right out of the gate before we get into it's the U.S.'s fault for lending them too much money. I've always had a problem when people lend me too much money. I hate those guys. Evil. But anyway, this article just demands money from the U.S. Now, we've seen the UN has agreed to send money to them. Now, it would be fine if this is the only angle that they were running. Okay? It's fine to go out and demand for stuff and really want things and not have to, deliver on anything or do anything, or if it's just, that's just it. You're just whining. Well, the beauty is they're not just whining. They're going to use that money for this, much like this Iran nonsense that's going on. Oh, well, just give us money. We won't do that. And then we're going to do exactly what we say. Well, Pakistan's doing the same thing. So the TAPI, we've talked about this before. We talked about in the video on the Afghanistan exit and how the Taliban were going to get money out of this thing. They're moving forward on this. The TAPI gas pipeline to significantly curb Pakistan's supply woes. Do you see this already? So these guys are basically saying climate change is destroying our country. You have to give us money to solve that. And on the other hand, they're working to build a pipeline that will move oil and natural gas, climate change mechanisms to their country and to Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and India. These guys are all in it together to build this friggin' pipeline to move all of these fossil fuels around. But over here, they're like, yeah, climate change is bad. We got to get some money so that we can not do that. So we can put it in over here. But we're not telling you that. We're just doing this. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So This project will help in reducing Pakistan's supply-demand gap by up to 1.3 billion cubic feet per day. I don't know a lot about natural gas, but that's a lot. In my mind, that's it. Like 1.3 billion anything is a lot. So through an investment of just $200 million in the pipeline, Pakistan can have this. So they're asking for 19.5 billion from the U.S. for climate reparations. They're going to put 200 billion into their piece for this pipeline, and then they're just going to roll in the money and all of the fossil fuels and continue the climate change shenanigans. What are we doing? Pakistan, but also the whole of Southeast Asia, by way of supplying 3.2 billion cubic feet per day to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. That's a mega amount of natural gas that they're moving around with this pipeline. I will put all these links down in the description. We've talked about this before. This, in my opinion, is why we did the haphazard way out of Afghanistan and left all of the equipment behind. Go check that video out. I break it all down for you there. Just know that this thing is still moving along. And now Pakistan's trying to find a way to get us to pay. I mean, how many clown situations do we have to be in? Like, we gave you all the equipment to protect it and most of the construction equipment to build it when we just pulled out the way that we did. And now, you want some money to actually finance? Sure, here's some money to finance a project while we're over here getting 15-minute cities and lockdowns. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand, but I'll be here telling you guys all about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.